So you hit this button right here and whoa, it actually stuck to the wall back there. Hey, what's up you guys? Shartimus Prime here doing another amazing Spider-Man movie figure review on the Max Factory Figma Amazing Spider-Man! Yes, it's finally out, and this is seen as the competitive figure against the Mafex Amazing Spider-Man figure, which is one of my favorite Spider-Man figures of all time. So I'm very excited to open this thing up. I'm very, very curious about it. Big, big, big! If you want to pick this figure up, you can get it at Big Bad Toy Store. That's where I got mine.
Get your big badass toys at BigBadToyStore.com. Click the link in the description below.
It's a pretty cool packaging over here. I really like Figma figures. They're very nice. I actually only have one. Well, technically it's my brother. I have Samus, so I could review that. It says Figma right over here. Action Figure Series, Max Factory, and then Masaki Apsi, I don't know, and then some kanji it looks like down here. I guess this is figure number 199. And then you can see in the very back over here we have this webbing going on, you know, past the window and everything. And there's a figure, very cool stuff on the top. We have Spidey on the phone. On the side, it says figure with some lizard scratches over here. On the back, we get a bunch of cool poses that look very nice on the top. And then on the bottom, Spidey on the phone again, get off the damn phone. And then we have another really cool pose of Spidey over here. So yes, I'm very curious to see how cool this figure is. Let's crack him open! So here he is out of his packaging, and this is a very cool looking Amazing Spider-Man movie figure. I really like it a lot. This is a beautiful looking figure. Now it does have a lot of shiny metallic paint throughout the whole thing, which is pretty nice. Not necessarily movie accurate. I actually really like this figure so much that I rewatched the movie, and yeah, it's not shiny like this. It does resemble the Mafex Spider-Man more. A lot of people have been asking me if I like this figure more than the Mafex Spider-Man figure, and after spending a lot of time with this guy, I'm just going to say right up front, I still like the Mafex Spider-Man more than this one. There are some glaring faults with this figure, although it is a very cool figure. It comes with a lot of accessories. The articulation is really cool. It's really fun to pose. So there's a lot to get into. Let's take a look at all the accessories and then we'll take a closer look at the figure. First accessory is the back of the packaging over here. You can actually cut this out. It looks like it's just hole punched in there. So you could take this out and it could be a background display base. It just says the Amazing Spider-Man, Figma Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man right down here. Then we get this cool Figma Ziploc bag, and it has this area right here which you could write on if you want to put Amazing Spider-Man on it, and it's pretty much just a Ziploc bag, you know, it seals and everything, so you can put all the accessories in here if you wish. He comes with a pretty sweet flight stand. I do like it. It rotates over here, it bends over here, it bends up here, bends up here, and then it kind of has this angle on it, so you have to kind of turn it around, and Spidey does have a hole in his back in which to plug him into, so I think it's preferred to have it plugged in like that. It doesn't go all the way in. Ooh, that's what he said, but yeah, it sticks out a little bit like so. And then you can, if you want to do different poses, you have to turn it all the way around and then rotate down here to get it facing downward more if you wish to do that. He comes with this really nifty backpack. It feels like it's made out of a rubber-like material. This is definitely better than the Hasbro backpack, which had no paint detail on it at all whatsoever. So I think this is great. And these straps right here are somewhat elastic. I think that's pretty cool. And then putting it on the figure is pretty easy. Actually, this right arm on my figure came off somewhat easy. So what I'd like to do is just take that off and then swoop this through here, then have it go around here, and then reattach the right shoulder, and there it goes. Now, a really cool thing that they did here, they added a hole at the bottom of the backpack right here for the flight stand, which I think is a genius move. So you just plug this peg into the backpack. You can have Spidey hanging from the backpack over here, which is a great move because, you know, if he's swinging downward or falling downward, the backpack would be moving up a little bit. So that's a very realistic look. I think that's great. And he comes with this tiny little cell phone, which is a great accessory. Wow, look how small this thing is. It is very, very small. So much to the point where I kind of wish it was attached to the hand that's meant to hold it. He does have interchangeable hands, and one of those hands is this one right here, which is meant to hold the cell phone. And that's pretty much all it's really meant for. And you just slip it through right here so that his finger, his pointing finger is sticking at the corner over here. And he holds it pretty well. You can shake it around. It's not going to fall out. But this being so small, I feel like it's really easy to lose, and I kind of wish that it was just attached to this hand, especially since there's no other use for this hand aside from him holding the cell phone. I think these are great hands. I think they're sculpted really well. They're kind of bendy like on the fingers, so it doesn't feel like it's made out of a very firm material where it's brittle or it's gonna break. I was able to get the figure doing hand handstands with these guys over here. He has his flipping hands, his web grabbing hands, even though he doesn't come with webs for him to grab, and he comes with the fist hands over here. Out of any figure I've ever had that has interchangeable hands, Figma makes hands that are the easiest to switch in and out. Then his last two accessories are these two whipping webs right here, which I think are kind of weak and very, very short. Now they are completely clear except for the very ends of them. It kind of has this white frosted paint over here at the end of each one, which is kind of a nice touch. But compared to the Mafex Spider-Man webbings, these are very, very weak. But you know, they work pretty well. There is a plus side to them. What I really like about these is how they're formed around the wrist. You can see that little half moon shape right here and then another one right here. So when you put this peg hole through here, it just wraps around nicely and it goes on the hinge of the hand, which is perfect. I think that's great and it stays on there pretty well. Again, these plug in very nicely and then that goes in very, very well. That's cool. And you could still articulate this hand without getting any movement whatsoever with the thwipping web, and you can line it up with the web shooter very easily too. That's very cool. But this is a very short web and it is the longer one out of the two webs. As you can see, the other one is this short. That's weak. Now looking at this head sculpt, I have to say I don't really like it. It kind of bothers me. I'm not really happy with this head sculpt. I feel like his face is kind of wide. I feel like it's kind of flat. I don't know. There's something about it that kind of just bothers me with this head sculpt. I'm not a huge fan of it. Now, I think the shiny paint looks really cool on the figure, and I do like how they painted the black lines throughout the whole figure. I think that's very cool. It's kind of hard to see with this heavy lighting. There's a lot of light going on over here, and I think the eyes came out really nice. They did a similar thing with the Mafex Spider-Man, where they have the clear plastic, and then underneath it, you have some gold. It's not nearly as bright as the gold that we got on the Mafex Amazing Spider-Man figure. The neck isn't too bad. It does have this big gap in the back over here though. That's kind of glaring, but it does help with the articulation, which is pretty good. And the rest of the figure is pretty nice looking. I gotta say, overall, I do think it does look cool, but the hinges on the elbows and on the knees are just horrific. Not as bad on the elbows as much as it is on the knees, but you know, again, I do like the sculpted detail with all these little dots and everything in here. I don't think this is movie accurate, but it does look cool. The web shooters aren't very movie accurate either. They're just blue. They don't have the little red dot in the middle like the Mafex does. As far as paint goes, I think the legs came out pretty well. The paint work and line work is very, very clean. I like the silver right here on the feet. That is very, very nice. They did a really good job with this, especially with this metallic blue over here. Very nice detail. The bottom of the feet have these nice little suction cup looking things. I think these are Asics over here. But then the biggest problem with this figure for me is this. Ba-boom! Yeah, that sucks. That just really, I mean, that is just bad. He has discs in the back of his knees, man. That is a bad move right there. That just takes you out of the figure completely. The rest of the figure is pretty damn good, but you have this huge disc right here. That is god awful. Someone mentioned on my live show they should have at least painted it a metallic blue instead of this flat blue. That would have helped a little bit, and I agree with that. But man, oh, I wish they could have done so, especially when you straighten the knee out over here. That is so bad. It's like he could drive around on the back of his knees. But like I said, the rest of the figure came out looking pretty damn nice. And then we have this nice detail on his back. That came out pretty good. Now, as far as articulation goes, it is great. I really like the articulation a lot, even though I do have one huge problem with it. Now, a lot of people had a problem with the Mafex Spider-Man's shoulders popping off very easily. I have a similar problem with this guy, except it's his freaking head, man. When the fucking head comes off, that pisses me off. Look how easy that comes off. I mean, I didn't even try, dude. Like, you just tilt it upward and it just falls right off. That pisses me off. It may just be mine. If you have the Figma Amazing Spider-Man figure, please let me know in the comments if you have this similar problem. But without the head popping off and the neck looking all the way back, he does look up very far, and it's not going to come off like that. So that is pretty cool, and that's probably why they have that gap in the back of the neck over here. The head can rotate side to side. It just wants to come off as soon as I start rotating it. He does have a little bit of a head pivot over here. He does have neck pivot as well, so you can get this to bend all the way over like that without the head popping off, which is frustrating. He can look down very, very far. Again, having a very hard time with his head, but he can look all the way down like that, so that's pretty cool. He does have pretty good shoulder articulation. It's on a ball joint, so it can move forward and back like this. It can move all the way outward. It can move all the way forward, and it does rotate as well. He does have elbows that bend that far in, and it does rotate at the elbow too. He has wrists that move side to side, down and up, and it's like that with all the interchangeable wrists. He has a pretty good diaphragm joint that rotates side to side. It pivots and it moves forward and back. Same thing with the waist over here, side to side, pivots side to side, and it moves forward and back. His hips move all the way outward like that. He can kick all the way forward, and there's that wheel again. He does have a thigh cut. I would have preferred a rotation right here at the hip, but he has this thigh cut over here, and this pops off very easily, but it goes right back on just as easy. He does have rotation right here at the knee that does bend all the way in, and you get this wheel sticking out, which is damn stupid. His ankles move all the way down. They move all the way up. He rotates at the ankle, and he does have the beautiful ankle pivot. Love that ankle pivot. And he has toe articulation, which is great. I have been able to get him balancing just on his toes too, which is very cool. So this Figma Amazing Spider-Man figure stands just barely under 6 inches tall. And here's the Figma Spider-Man compared to my beloved Mafex Spider-Man figure. And I do prefer the size of this Spider-Man over here. I feel like it fits in more with Marvel Legends. As you can see, the Marvel Legends Big Time Letdown Spider-Man and Mafex Spider-Man are the same height. And here's Figma Amazing Spider-Man compared to my two favorite Spider-Man figures, McFarlane's Spidey and the Mafex. And here's Figma Spidey compared to the Marvel Select Movie Lizard figure with the Marvel Legends Series 2 Hulk coat right over here. And then we have the Walmart exclusive Lizard figure. So if these fit in scale to you, I don't know, it's up to you to decide. And here's Figma Spider-Man compared to the Figma Samus figure. I don't have the Link figure. I will be getting it very soon along with Kid Icarus, and I expect to be reviewing her in the next week. And here he is compared to the Marvel Select shiny variant of the Amazing Spider-Man figure and the Hasbro Walmart exclusive Amazing Spider-Man figures. Please hit the like button, leave a comment, subscribe. Check out my photo gallery of this guy. I took a ton of pictures, link in the description below. I hope you guys like my video. I will catch you guys later. Peace.
That's crispy.
Great neck articulation. Damn it, the head.